So, good evening. I hope you're having a good day today. So, this is the speaking this presentation subject is about the cause behind climate change. So, there's always, before I start, I would like to say that by no means my presentation is meant to bring any distress or any kind of unwanted connotations, because it's like
you pull down on that pin. I'm pretty sure.
So this is like when you have a doctor, when somebody comes in for treatment and he's asking what's going on, and if the doctor, says to somebody that you're fine, although he knows that the person have like a cancer or something like that, does withholding information, and he is not the one who will give the judgment. The patient should have the judgment on what is decision to do for treatment. Now, the main thing about our patients here is our planet Earth. So planet Earth, as we can see, is facing a lot of symptoms all over the world, and these symptoms are very known to everybody. There is nowadays like extreme weather conditions. We have hurricanes, we have volcanoes erupting, we have earthquakes in very high magnitude. When you watch a weather man or anybody, we're all adults, so when we have experienced all these type of weathers in some sort, like for example, if you were in a desert area, you would probably expect that, okay, it's going to be very hot. If you were born in a climate where it's cold, you will expect when it's going to be cold. And you know what's normal to be cold. But everybody's seeing extreme weather conditions nowadays. So what is, now the weatherman usually will say, okay, so this is your experience for this, what we experiences have been experienced before 100 years ago. So this is his take. So how many would agree on this is a one lifetime experience to us? Do you think it's going to stop? Meaning that, okay, we experienced, let's say, a hurricane last year. So do we think this is the end of it? We're not going to experience another hurricane next year? Do we think it's going to stop? It's just a lifetime experience. Like once in a lifetime, and it's a record, and it's going to be that recorded somewhere and archived. The answer to that is basically, from my take now, that's not going to be the case. What actually is going to happen, we are going to see more of what we have experienced. It's going to be bigger than the one before. So it's going to be one after another till the cause that our subject is talking about today, the star planet, till that star planet starts to show up. And so what is Nibiru? Nibiru is a star planet, and to NASA, it's still a theory, debunking the view that this planet is a myth. They have mathematical data to back it up. However, to my mentor, he's a person in the website, he has a website, and I think he's the only one who's right on this matter, that it's a fact yet to be discovered and soon to be seen by telescope and the naked eyes in the next generation. So I want to clarify something. Now, if somebody says, you know, a name, and then it could be a CEO, and then the CEO says, well, scientist says, any person with good rationale, he will be open-minded to receive all type of information, and then he himself will make a sound judgment. It's not by how big the name is presented or how much I admire the person, it's how what is actually factual in real life. That's what makes it hardcore evidence. So we all know that 1 + 1 = 2, and that's in reality. So otherwise, somebody says, you know, all kind of empty talk from his own views, because we don't know why. Sometimes because of political agendas, sometimes because money comes in place, sometimes there are so many sculptures, sometimes background, whatever it is, that's not the case. But NASA has the sources. So NASA is a reputable organization, and they go by data and observations. And they came out to say that this is not a myth. And when I say it's a myth, because there were ancient civilizations like the Mayans in South America, who we know that they said that, okay, well, there is Nibiru, and in 2012 there was a big hype in the internet about that 2012 is the end of time or the end of the days and stuff like that. Now those people they're myth, but they're the way how they deal with the stuff. But if they hold one particular information and that information to be tested which is Planet Nibiru, we have to test it, and we see other people what they say about it. So now let's see NASA. So for NASA, we have found out that they do have sources in their website to back their claim and move the subject about Nibiru from being a myth into a factual theory that is backed up with real facts and data. So it says, Caltech researchers find evidence of a real ninth planet, evidence for distant giant planet in the solar system. And then we see this video by Mr. James Green. We will see what he says about this issue.
I'm Jim Green, Director of Planetary Science at NASA. You know, NASA works with the international science community to explore our solar system and beyond. We look to unravel the mysteries that intrigue us all as we explore and answer the big questions. Questions like, how did the Earth originate and change over time? How did the solar system begin and evolve? And what will be its destiny? What will be our destiny? Last July 14th, NASA's New Horizons spacecraft flew past Pluto, capping a half-century of exploration of our solar system. It piqued our interest about what lies beyond Pluto and what can we learn about ourselves and the origins of our solar system. The idea of a new planet is certainly an exciting one for me as a planetary scientist, and I think for all of us. The January 20th paper in the Astronomical Journal is fueling our interest in planetary exploration and stimulating a healthy debate that's part of the scientific process. I couldn't be more pleased about what's happening. You know, it's all about starting the process that could lead to an exciting result. It is not, however, the detection of a new planet. It's too early to say with certainty that there's a so-called Planet X out there. What we're really seeing is an early prediction based on modeling from limited observations. What's exciting is that, like NASA's journey to Mars or New Horizons flyby of Pluto, you will have a front row seat to see how the scientific process unfolds. Theories like this serve to stimulate ideas and conversation. They tap into our innate curiosity. It's important for us to continue to work, and we will. Anytime we have an interesting idea like this, we always apply Carl Sagan's rules for critical thinking, which include independent confirmation of the facts, looking for alternate explanations, and encouraging scientific debate. If Planet X is out there, we'll find it together. Or we'll determine an alternate explanation for the data that we've received so far. Now, let's go explore.
Okay. So, Mr. James's approach is very scientific, that we should go and explore and look for scientific data. So NASA takes this Planet X very seriously. They have made a project, the whole project, and they called it the backyard wall. So in their data, they are so sure of it, but they just want a smoking gun. So they made this the backyard wall planet 9 NASA wide. It stands for Wide Infrared Survey Explorer, WISE, which is a big book of images that a person can flip and go through it. Participants will locate a moving bright spot. They are looking for Planet X. According to NASA, spotting a moving point of light might be Planet 9. Now, when they say Planet 9, just because like there is a classification if Pluto is a planet or not, but let's go to the original classification. Yes, Pluto is a planet and it does have a moon, so it is a planet. And so this is a 10th planet. But this is from their website, so they call it 9. Although there are automated searches to go over the data, NASA favors human eyes because NASA believes that the eye sees things that computers can miss. And this is the reference, and this is the websites where somebody can check this information themselves. Like I said, it's always testing the information, and the credibility of the information is very critical. Now, my take on why I would, I favor my theory, but I say it's not a theory, it's a fact, because there are previous data to me that have been explored and said that this event did happen in the past, and the credibility of the book that I look for is the Quran. I've tested some of it, so for example, when I'm looking at, of course, like this data is a record, historical record. So a record book, usually either you find it in historical books or in scriptures. And in the scriptures, like the Quran or the Old Testament and the Gospel. Now, in the Quran it says, Allah stands for the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So this, he said, Allah is He who created 7 heavens and of the earth, like thereof. The command descent among them that you may know that Allah is the possessor of power over all things, and that Allah encompasses all things in His knowledge. This passage, I have taken it out from Nasr Muhammad al-Yamani, where his difference from the rest of the world, the Islamic world, that he's the only one who have a divine understanding of what he sees. So he says this is like this is the explanation of it. After Earth, there are 7 Earths after us. So God in His wise knowledge, He wants mankind to find out themselves what is there in creation, and then when a book talks about it 1500 years ago, then they will say, okay, this book is right. So now Earth, there are 6 or 7 planets after us or beneath us, and we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The last one, Pluto, this was discovered in 1932. So still there should be one more. And this planet, we are going to see why do I say that it's going to happen in our lifetime. So, we know that planet Earth rotates from from west to east. That's how the day comes in, and the sun and the moon also they go from west to east. So when we have our time, 24-hour a day, we monitor that by how the sun positions itself in the sunrise and then sundown, and we calculate the 24 hours. So when there is a sunset, so that means Earth is moving this way, so this area of the world is going to be under darkness because the sun just set at the west. And when sunrise, because this part of the world, now the sun is in their east side. So that movement, usually by the astronomy or astronomical physics, they know when exactly to the T when the sunrise or when does the sun set. And there's like hundreds and hundreds of records that prove that they're always accurate on that, and they've been doing it for centuries. Now, in 2005, of course, this is the time when Nibiru, April 8, 2005, that's when Nibiru actually is coming down, start to come down. So, and this date concludes, starts over a new 1,000 year. Okay, so we are going to see why the Earth is slowing down. Why we say Earth is slowing down? Because if the sunrise at a certain sunset at a certain time, then it should always be there. But if it's late or earlier than that, then we see that there's a discrepancy. We want to check on that. And in this video, we can see this.
Planet Earth is also getting affected, and I'll let you have your own conclusion about why we see discrepancies in the data, the sun data. So I'll bring one of the observations. And use that what we found out, but then I'll bring the detailed data from the astronomy side, and we'll see what's going on. So, and also, I mean, I forgot, knowing I might make another one, another video on this.
So this is a website, and this website from the International Astronomy Center. They are a group of specialists around the world, and they usually spot the moon phases, because the moon phases, they play a big role in the practices, like ritual practices of Islam, and they are also the Jewish. Also, they built their calendar on the moon, and I think the Chinese too. So this is the this month was last month. That's the name of it. They call it Jumada. It was in January. Coincides with January, and that's the year according to the moon calendar. But if we can see and roll over on the video, you can see that I was trying to find out different countries and what's their observations, because I had a pre-notion that the effect right now should have reached Earth. There is one effect that has been there since 2005, and that effect is explained by Nasser Muhammad. It's on the moon. The other effect now is supposedly on Earth. Now, the effect on the moon, we're going to discuss that later, but there are certain verses that he explains why the effect of the moon indicates for sure that he is saying that the clock of the universe is being affected by the gravity pull between this planet and Earth. Because since 2005, both Earth and this planet are fighting over the moon. The sun was affected. It did increase its speed. And we will explain that later in details. But for right now, we are going to talk about Earth, because this is my observation. I had a pre-conclusion that, hey, maybe there's something wrong also now, since it's been that long of a time. And we're going to see on this video how is Earth slowing down. The movement is. So this is January 17, 2018. So this is January 18th, January 17, 2018. It was Queen's Day. And these are the countries. I was using my Windows magnifier. So basically you'll see that the countries, most of them like Indonesia, on top there was Morocco, Australia. So it's different scientists in different parts of the world, and they report into this site about their findings. South Africa, Oman, Algeria, Hungary. Okay, so now something caught my attention with Iran observation. What caught my attention was basically how the scientist there, he was able to capture it by capture it in a picture, and he was from the city of Tabriz, and this is his observation. Usually they write down their observation exactly for credibility and recordings. So he exactly brings out that this is the city he was in Tabriz, east of Azerbaijan province, and the crescent, he saw the crescent at 17:38 p.m. with binoculars. So it was not by the naked eye. That's how detailed they are. So he goes on and he says then at 1742 it was seen by the naked eyes. So in my video, to document this observation, part of my research, then I wanted to bring all what he says. I brought him also because I mean he's the one who did this great job with his binoculars. Now, we are going to see basically the picture at sunset. You see that this is the moon right here, the birth of the moon. And the sun is still there. And according to him, by the naked eye, should be at 1742. So this is by the binoculars. This is by the naked eye because it's a picture, so I can see it. So 17. This is 1738. This is another website which is different than that website. It's just a general website. Usually there are websites that can tell you what is sunrise and sunset time in each part of the world. And just haphazardly I found this website, and they say that this is the timing. On Thursday, January 18th, on 17:31. This column here is for the sunset PM, so that can tell you this is sunrise. But earlier we said about sunset. I'm gonna move this thing over because it's my motion. Like usually. It's a little bit of time, but this is the important part. At 1742, it was still observed with the naked eye. At 1738, it was observed even by the camera. So it's a difference. There's a difference in 1731, 1738. So you figure out that there's time difference there. Now, one more thing also that this observation I tried to check it here in Kansas City, but because the elevations, there's too much what they call pollution because of the height, so trees and all that stuff. My observations, it shouldn't be that accurate, but in all, it's also I have witnessed that. I mean, I could tell that there is a difference between the time the sunset that was supposed to be, because like I said, this under credibility-wise, there was trees, so it wouldn't count. But at 5:55, that was the time that it was supposed to. The sun was supposed to sunset, and then in actuality at 6:10, 6:08. The sun still, the sun actually, we saw that the sun actually did sunset because there's a great layer that should have gone down. So that's one. And to double check, I also called a friend, he lives by the sea, overseas, and he said, he gave me the time, and there was also discrepancy in the time. So the sea is a perfect environment for detecting accurate information for sunset and sun or moon sighting. That's it. So in conclusion for this part, basically the sun, you can see that the sunset time on Thursday in Azerbaijan was 5:31, and then but we can see from the pictures something really is happening to Earth now in how it is rotating. Because if it's in the right time, it's like a clock. If it's in the right time, it should be sharply at that time. But if it's later than the usual time, then wait a minute, why there's a discrepancy? Okay. Now the next phenomenon, which we have talked about earlier, this phenomenon is about the moon. Of course, I mean, this phenomenon, for somebody to understand it, he must have like basic astronomy, how the phases of the moon is comes about. And so if we, but just to give you a brief description of what's going on when there's a birth of a moon. So basically, this is the sun. Let's say this is the sun. We use different colors here. Maybe this is our Earth. And this is the moon. Okay, so I'm just going to increase the size of this one. This is the sun. So if we have all these lined up, we usually don't see the moon in the sky. So people do not see the moon in the sky. And then after that, from west, from west to east, they start taking off. And then this side will go like this, and then we can see, when it reflects the sun, and you can see that the first crescent is born, and the speed of the moon is usually faster. So in the Quran scripture it says the sun will always follow this, will follow after its birth. So the moon will go on, and then the sun will follow from west to east. And then at one point we do see that the moon is on the other side. That's the full moon. It's completely bright. Now, the sizable blown up moon. What is the sizable blown up moon? It is basically, to explain it, so like you said, we have that phase coming out. After 12 hours, people will see the birth, and we'll see the crescent. So in a moon calendar, it should be 354 days, because they will not be able to see the moon except after 12 hours. So we're going to take out from 360 days, we're going to take out about 12 hours every day. So, I hope I'm not confusing, but like I said, it needs a little bit of astronomy, so I'm going to try to. So anyway, so this after 12 hours, they should have seen this thread. Let's say it's like this. And then second day, it's going to increase in size, a little bit like that. And then the third day, it's going to increase more in size, because remember, the moon is still moving and it's reflecting more light on it. But what happens in 2005, people are building their calendar based on the sighting, but they cannot see those two. There's either this one, or they cannot see both of them, neither this one nor this one. So they start on the third day, or they start on the second day, their calendar day. And this, sizable blown up moon is going to indicate that the okay. So this is indication that planet X is approaching, because what's happening is that condition happened because basically the speed of the sun is going faster. So instead of usual condition where the moon goes first to the east and then the sun follows it, no, what's going on right now is different. It's the other way around. And this is an indication or a preset for the bigger one, which is basically the flip of the of Earth rotation, because the night and day is going to change in the direction as well. So at one point when that happens, these are, like we said, these are indicators. At one point this is where the test comes in, that we are going to see a sun and another sun in front of our eyes in our lifetime. So disclosure, most of the information, like I said, this guy, he brings it from the Quran, and he has the understanding of looking at certain things where it is. So all of my material is from him, except the observations about the sun. This is I read that one. So this is planet X. It's according to him, it's going to be a red dwarf planet, and this is common knowledge now that it is red dwarf planet here. I mean, you can find it in the media. But he explains exactly that also the direction where it's going to come from. He explains what the colors that's going to come. He says there's 3 colors. So usually the star planet will have like 1 color. For example, like if you see Mercury or something like that, you have 1 color. But this is a 3-color star planet. And all about its rotation, all the planets, they go like also from west to east, but because the angle of this planet is different, so it's coming from a 45-degree angle. So it's coming from it's going to come from the poles. So we're going to see it instead of rising, rising from the east and west like the other, how they go. This planet is going to go in a 45-degree angle. So this on Earth is tilted. We have the North Pole and the South Pole. So at one point, people in the desert here, they are going to see they're looking toward Polaris, the star Polaris. And this used to be the star that is still, people who go and navigate the sea, they usually use it for direction. So Polaris is very important on this side to locate it. If I have the time, I would go from time to time myself just to check the direction of Polaris and try to see, because at least I can pinpoint where in the sky it is. So at least I could see where it comes from. There's no doubt. Okay, in this generation, the sun will rise from the west. So this is the time he knows it, but it's in the horizon. They will not tell when the time to say it's going to be when it's give an approximate. Because when it's going to come all of a sudden. So what it says here in this passage, in this sentence, that when there is a conditions that's going to happen or certain like indicators on what is going to happen to Earth on that day. For example, we are going to start shifting the direction. The sun is going to rise from the west. So at one point before sunrise, let's say haphazardly, sunrise is at 6:25. So one of these days at 6:25, the sun will not going to complete and you're going to see the sun. It's just going to be backward. And then the day is going to elongate. It's not going to be 24 hours anymore. It's going to be more than that. That's different subject. There's no time for all that. But now we are going back to my slide. So true or false news about this planet. Is there going to be a collision with Earth? Answer, false. This is the closest final approach to us in its orbital rotation. This is the final 12th round. Okay, so it came in before. Actually, it was not, yesterday I was saying it's 27,000 years, but that's a different ground for a different civilization that pre-existed Abraham. Actually, the planet, this planet, it was here the last time, at the time of Abraham, it was 9,000 years ago. So previous to that, there was another 9,000, there was two civilizations that were living where the desert of Arabia was. These people were huge, tall, very tall, very tall. We're not talking about, like, if you know Manute Bol, the basketball player, you bring a kid, these people, the kid are like, to us, if there's a, somebody have a kid, we will be to them like a kid to us. So very tall people. And, but at that time when it came in, this is, I guess, the religious part, but messengers. So there are people who follow the messengers and people who diss the messengers. And these are the people who diss the messengers who got the wrong punishment for them. This is the religious part, but that's what this says. That's the reality. Okay. So, and dinosaurs were lost at. They were at Abraham time 9,000 years ago, because this planet, a day in this planet, a day equals to us. So, like for example, to make it easy, now the moon, one day in the moon, meaning when you see that moon is becoming phases, this is one day in the moon. Actually, like noon in the moon is basically full time there. So it takes the moon, in our time, it takes it 30 days for the moon to make one day. Okay, so for this planet, one day is 25 years. So in our calculation, it takes it 25 years to have a day there. Okay, so is this doomsday? Answer: true. This is doomsday, but this is the last 1,000 years. And all, like if there are Indian students here, they would not understand it, but this is just people who have the scriptures of previous book from the same religion, Brahmanic religion. Now, where is it? Like we have pointed out, it's coming from the North Pole, and it's going to be absorbed from the North Pole, but once it starts shooting off, an actual very close encounter from the South Pole, that encounter is going to be very, and this is the distressful information, but like I said, it's like a cancer. You have to tell it just, for the information to be known. Some people take that, but basically it's going to shoot off a lot of stones, like fiery stones. Because this same people have, this same planet became, like we said, and there is Mr. Ron White, and he had discovered the city of Sodom and Gomorrah by the Dead Sea. Okay, what is its composition? It's a clay material, sulfuric, I think also there. When was it last seen? We said that ice melting and dinosaurs. So dinosaurs, the common knowledge now here, everybody thinks that they were extended at the time of Noah, but the information yet to be discovered also, which is that dinosaurs are amphibians. So they did have the ability to sink in the water once they get some, like turtles, like they can breathe oxygen, go inside the water, and comes out. But they could not survive. They could not survive at Abraham time because when these firestone and asteroids, there is no place to hide. Others, they can go caves, they can go between different mountains and stuff. So they were able to, and their offspring came out from there. But dinosaurs, not all of them were extinct. Dinosaurs are very, very, very savage, very savage. They eat with their teeth, with their hand. They don't eat for craving. If they find anything, they will just kill it and move on, even if they are not hungry. They use their teeth, their tail, whatever. He can be fighting one with their teeth, one with their tail, and it squeeze like a snake, how they squeeze this thing. So they're very, very savage. So it's a good thing that we don't have them anymore. But now, with the naked eye, now when it approaches with the naked eye, cautions, and this is very important. Do not stare at it because it will cause blindness as the sun. So you can't stare at it. But if you have dark eye glasses, you can. If you can glimpse it quickly and very, very quickly, it's okay. But don't stare at it. Black smoke is going to happen all over Earth. Black. There's going to be black smoke coming off of that. So chapter named after it, just to remind people about that. A loud bang, everybody will hear a very big loud bang before the actual see it. And the bad side, the biggest bad side, the enormous influx of firestones and asteroids all over the world. One of the remnants that came in Russia, that's the remnant of certain asteroids were shot off from Planet X back in the days. So they're still circulating around in the space out there. But when it comes to that, that's the biggest thing. And the only thing about that time, we should just make sure, of course, everybody has to live their life normally, everything like that, everything is under the hand of God. The most important thing that is but that's only cure, actually. They'll try to go and blow it up and all that stuff. It's not going to work. Nothing's going to work at that point. So it's mercy and pray for mercy. That's all. So that will conclude this session, and I thank you for coming. And if you have any more questions, please say it. That's all. Okay. I guess this is it.
You did good.
Oh,
You did a good job. It was, you fixed some of the organization things, and it was much better organization this time.
Yeah, I really do. Thank you very much. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
So
Yeah.
huge improvements. I can tell you worked on it.
Oh, great. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
I'm sure you can edit some things, and it'll make a good video.
I hope so. Thanks.